Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Alan.
And you are officially tuned in to the GG Dispatch. Each week on Tuesday, bright and early, we consolidate the week's biggest headlines in gaming news. Whether you're listening in on your commute, during your workout, or you just have us on in the background, we thank you for listening in. And speaking of thank you, we want to extend a kind thank you to the folks at Technica for providing the hardware that both Alan and I are using for this podcast, which is the AT2020 USB X. Whether you're just starting out on your content creator journey or you're a seasoned pro, Technica has the products for you. All right. So last week we discussed how I was due for some time with GTA 5.
Yes, sir.
And you know what? I did it. I caught up to where you are. I got through the father and son mission.
Nice. So, actually, I kind of wanted to start off with a couple of questions before we delve into like the story side
Yeah,
of things.
sure.
So like as you've been playing, have you been kind of like full on RPing and kind of like following the rules of the road, stopping at red lights, or are you just like I'm gonna drive as fast as I can to get there?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I actually did obey the traffic laws a little bit. And then I was like, nah, screw this. And so then I just started to weaving out of traffic and stuff. And because it seems, like the traffic stuff, like that's not triggering your wanted level or anything. So like I can drive like a maniac and not necessarily start the whole police chase thing. So that's good. So I don't really follow the rules of the road there, but I am pretty pacifistic like when it comes to like civilians and stuff. Like I haven't been like squaring up with strangers and like knocking them out or like hitting a bunch of people with my car or I think I'm I've been tempted. I've been thinking about it, but the main way I've been like breaking the law is just driving like a maniac. So that's been my law breaking streak.
Okay, now have you taken the opportunity to drive around a bit? Is kind of like take the city in, or are you just like I'm going mission to mission right now?
I'm going mission to mission right now. I was looking because I wanted to catch up to where you were so that we could have a bit more of the discussion around the narrative, and so I was making that sort of the priority. But I was kind of zooming out on the map and trying to think about like where I might want to go. So, yeah, that's on my agenda. I think to do a little bit more exploring around the city, but this last round of game time that I've had was more mission focused. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, have you kind of taken notice of the radio at all, or it's just kind of been background noise for now?
Yeah, no, I took notice of the radio. The radio was pretty fun.
Okay.
I kind of cycled through the stations and like the different cars that I was in and stuff. And, you know, I haven't really landed on a station that I really like or like stay on. I kind of change it up a little bit. The only one I haven't really listened into a lot is the talk radio, which I'm kind of interested in. So, I'm curious to see what their take on talk radio is, but otherwise, yeah, I'm digging all the various stations. I haven't picked a favorite yet. Maybe next week I'll have a favorite I can report back on.
Okay, let me say, welcome to Grand Theft Auto. That's such one of the amazing things about this game series that has gone on. The radio has always been like a very important part of what it is to play these games,
Right.
and it helps so much with the world building. Like you feel like you're getting sort of a sense of that city through the radio and all the radio stations they have available.
Yeah, and the commentary on like capitalism and stuff is hilarious. Like, the commercials, like the fake commercials for like, have you
Yeah.
been taken in for a mortgage? Like, you can't expect, the bank can't expect you to pay all that back. Like, did you borrow too much money, like more than you could afford, and like all this other stuff. It's just really funny, hearing some of those things and just the way that they've been structured. So it's a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I kind of want to get your thoughts of like do you feel like it adds at all, or do you think like if it were just random music, you'd be just as happy?
Um, I definitely think it adds. I think it's really impressive, honestly, that like there's so much unique content and like specific content in on the radio stations for GTA. So I think that speaks to, quite a lot of work that went in, like just like that functionality in particular, like going from one car to another, where the station might be set, like, and all this other stuff. It's just really there's a lot of detail in there that I found really impressive. So I think it definitely adds to the game for sure.
Okay, just a quick tip before we go on. Like the same is kind of true for the TV.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, if you get a chance to check out a TV, probably a Michael's house, like do that. It,
All right.
it's very similar. So okay, so I kind of want to catch up listeners to where we last were, just in case they kind of new or maybe they forgot where we were. Basically, in that last mission that we left off on, uh, Franklin and Lamar went out to steal, or well, not to steal, but to repo a bike back, and that basically went to hell. That was just a botched mission all around. And at the end, Lamar is basically like, "Well, I'm just gonna keep this for my trouble, for my for everything that I've been through."
Right.
That's kind
Exactly.
of where we last left off. And so basically, the next mission was complications, where basically Simeon is like, "Hey, go get his SUV back, man. Like he's not making payments. You got to get it back." So you basically head on over, and you're just thinking it's going to be a normal repo job. You kind of get a little bit of the stealth mechanic of the game because you have to kind of like hop in and get into the house. And once you get in, you basically I'm not sure if you immediately noticed, but this is basically Michael's house.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't notice it right away. Like well, I did kind of notice it. So I kind of felt it coming because when you hear the like the daughter, like the two younger adults that are kind of arguing, like the kids, um, like you get the idea because Michael in the early scenes is talking about how his son is like worthless and just like plays video games and jacks off all day and stuff. And for some reason I was like, oh, this seems like a worthless son. And so I was like, I'm that's probably it's probably Michael's son. And so yeah, I kind of picked up on that and then got into the house and got into the SUV and lo and behold, Michael is waiting in the back seat. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
before you got to that point, did you kind of sneak around and kind of get a sense of those family dynamics?
Yeah, I picked up a little bit of like the tension between um uh oh gosh, and now I'm forgetting Michael's son's name. Jimmy? No. Yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jimmy. Like Jimmy and his sister, and his wife's name is Crystal, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
That was on the bumper of the car or the license plate of the car. That's why I was like, I think that's her name. So so obviously their dynamics, like the brother and sister are like hate each other, and then the daughter and the mom like have a lot of tension as well with like having your boyfriend stay over or whatever. And so you definitely pick up on a lot of that the
Did you
headache.
notice the tennis instructor that was that was in the kitchen with her?
Oh yeah, no, I picked up that there was some conversation with the coach, like the tennis coach, but I didn't see like who it was or I got some of the connotation there, but I didn't really notice who that was. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So basically, like once, like you're saying, once you jump in, Michael is just right there waiting for you, and he's like, "You're gonna take me to whoever sent you to do this." And he's like, "All right, man." And this is at gunpoint, so Franklin not doesn't have many options here. So basically, it ends up going back to Simeon's place, and he basically just tells him like, "Floor it, drive through this dude's dealership," and he's like, "Okay." And
Yeah.
so he ends up bashing through. Michael gets out, beats the living daylights out of Simeon, and that's basically the end of the mission. So I kind of want to get your sense overall of this mission. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I I did like it. I mean, I think the mid central story missions have been pretty solid. Like I enjoyed complications. I was doing some strangers and freaks missions as well. Like just a couple, and so there was the one where as Franklin you're driving like the tow truck.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that one was I will say like I enjoy driving around in general, but like the tow truck one was kind of like annoying like trying to turn the car around sometimes. Like I found myself in kind of an odd position, and so like doing like a 20-point turn to try and get the car into the lot the right way and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm probably making this way more complicated than it needs to be. But
No, that's definitely
yeah,
like part of Rockstar's kind of like their Achilles heel is like the controls can be kind of clunky. Like even in Red Dead Redemption 2, you get kind of like wonkish controls at times.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, when it comes to the central story beats, I'm really enjoying it. So I finished Complications, and I also did Father and Son. So basically, uh, Franklin tries to take Michael up on a beer that he offers him when he's doing the whole thing with to Simeon's place. He's like, hey, why don't I get you a beer sometime or something? And so Franklin shows up at his house again to take him up on that offer, and they have this great banter kind of back and forth. And I was saying, to you before the podcast, like the voice acting in this game is like really, really good, like superb stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very natural. Like the characterization is like top tier. And I really enjoyed all of their scenes together. And even though like they're not, they're not fully, I don't know the right, not like fully animated, right? Like it's not like a proper like CGI scene that is taking advantage of the hardware as much as it could to like
Yeah,
make it
yeah,
more like a
yeah.
movie. You still get like a movie experience. Like it still very much feels like you're watching a film, and like you're watching these characters develop this interpersonal relationship and understanding for each other. And so, so they're gonna go get this beer, and then he gets a call. Michael gets a call from his son that he was got abducted on this yacht because he was trying to sell
Doing
the
it up
yacht.
to his usual nonsense.
Up to nonsense, ridiculousness. And so then Franklin kind of gets looped into that. But what's funny is like Franklin has been so like bothered and like annoyed with like all this stuff that he has to do. He's always like, man, like, what am I doing? Like, this is a waste of time. Like, this is crazy. But when he goes to help Michael with this stuff, like you can tell there's a bit more of like that positive energy. Like he's like excited to be involved or like kind of get into Michael's orbit, which was a kind of a fun departure from the earlier mission. So
Yeah, yeah, like
yeah,
you can see that he feels like, yo, I'm with someone who knows how to make things happen. Like he sees the house that Michael has, the cars. He thinks he's living good, so he's like, yeah, I want a part of that. Like, what I really enjoyed up to this point is kind of like Franklin's mentality of like, I don't want to just be doing this small time stuff that's going to get us, possibly arrested or caught or worse. Like, let's try to at least be as legit as we can, so we can like make our lives better.
yeah, for sure. But anyway, it was a great session, a great gaming session. Enjoyed making some progress in the story. Looking forward to exploring the city a bit more and getting to know the characters a bit more. But um, yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying GTA 5 so far. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's our catch up there on GTA 5, and we're going to commit to completing a couple chapters, probably a couple core missions a week, and keeping you posted on that. If you've never played GTA 5 before, maybe this will inspire you to play it. If you have, maybe it'll inspire you to go back to playing it with GTA 6 just around the corner. So hope you enjoy our chronicling of this journey. But enough about that. We have 6 stories today, starting with another another round of bad news in the form of layoffs in the gaming industry. Microsoft lays off 1,900 staff from its video game workforce. This is from IGN.com's Wesleyan Pool. Microsoft is cutting 1,900 staff from its video game workforce, sources have told IGN. In a message to staff viewed by IGN, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said Microsoft will provide full support to those who are impacted during the transition, including severance benefits informed by local employment laws. IGN has asked Microsoft for comment. The layoffs come following the $69 billion acquisition of Call of Duty owner Activision Blizzard and the exit of its controversial former boss Bobby Kotick. Microsoft is currently worth more than $3 trillion, the second company ever to break that record behind Apple, I believe. And the article goes on to break down the memo from Phil Spencer, which essentially, talks about the painful decision to reduce the size of the gaming workforce by approximately 1,900 roles out of the 22,000 people on the team. part of that, within that 1900 staff, a lot of it was redundancy, or at least quite a few of those roles were considered to be like redundancy roles because again, when you have a merger, you have a marketing department on on one side and you have a marketing department on the other, and you don't need two marketing departments, correct? So it's sort of that's kind of a simplification, but that's sort of the idea of where a good chunk of those positions are coming from when it comes to the layoffs. Um, there was also some reporting that the physical game department at Xbox also took a pretty big hit. Um, Now, physical game sales from Xbox are like, I believe, the lowest percentage out of all the major consoles. And so,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
from what I heard, it was like 10% is Xbox, 40% PlayStation 5, and 50% Nintendo Switch.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's uh, again, physical game collectors, you're gonna find more of them on the Switch and or PlayStation. So, but still, like for a company like Microsoft, slash Xbox to say, oh, we're not going to make physical games anymore, we're just going to commit to that, or draw it back more significantly, like that's going to signal even more strongly to other companies like, oh, maybe we should have a digital first approach, right? And so
Yeah, and also the whole rumor of like, well, I mean, not the rumor, the leak of that digital only Series X makes a lot more sense now. They're like,
yeah,
why? We're hardly selling any copies anyway, or physical copies.
yeah. So um yeah, I mean, just another awful layoff. And it's payroll is one of the first things that you look at to try and trim down the fat, and reduce your operating costs. But when you're spending like $69 billion is an
Yeah, yeah,
insane amount of money. And if you're saving maybe 100 million a year, 150 million a year laying off these people, it still would take like 600 years to get your money back on payroll or whatever. That's just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
rough math there, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's just pretty crazy, that you know
Also,
that
like,
happened. Yeah,
I would love to actually get from these executives, here's what we did to try to avoid it, but like we couldn't because, famously, Satoru Iwata, one of the former CEOs, was like, I cut my own pay. Like I didn't want to let all these people go. That's completely demoralizing. And he's right. It is
yeah,
demoralizing. So, like, you're telling me that each member of the executive staff at Xbox and throughout Microsoft can take like a mil or two off their own paychecks and still they'll still be making obscene amounts of money anyway. So it's not like they're going to be losing out on a lot, but like, why aren't they doing something? Like they're the ones who decided we're going to grow. They're the ones who decided we're going to merge and do all and make all these moves and spend all this money and then put us in a bad position where we have to just let go 1,900 people. Like
yeah,
lame.
yeah,
It's a cop out. It's just like, oh no, we've got all this money for the merger, but like 2,000 people, they gotta let you go.
yeah. And again, like there's the redundancy, like I get that, but to your point, I think that more could have been done to say, okay, we understand that we don't need to have these heads necessarily to do this kind of work, but we took some steps to try and identify folks who might have cross-functional skills, or identify areas of the
Yeah,
business where we
yeah.
might want to grow, and shift as many of those roles over as we could, like
Like
you
there's
know
a whole other corporation. Like Microsoft is like, they do a whole bunch of other software and they, couldn't you move someone around to like, Microsoft Office or Microsoft or Windows 11
Yeah,
or whatever?
yeah. Like even again, like it's a good faith maneuver, right? If they could come out and say, well, initially we were going to lay off 6,000 people, but then we took a look at where we could reallocate, reassign, blah blah blah, and in this way we were able to find roles for 4,000 people, but we still have to lay off 1,900. Like that would still go miles beyond
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what we're used to seeing. And it's just you get the golden parachute from like Bobby Kotick and like all these other folks, to your point,
Exactly. 'Cause
like
I
that.
think like no, yeah, I say that Bobby Kotick, I think got like 400 mil on his way out the door, I think.
Yeah,
It's just
I
some
mean,
obscene number. It was crazy.
Right, which I mean, cut that in half and you can pay for all of those people to have a job for another year or two, right? So it's just like,
Yeah,
and he still walks away with 200 million. So it's like, it's I think, we can talk about it and we can hope and we can be idealistic and everything. The industry is going to do what it's going to do, but I'm hoping that, in this environment, as these companies are making these big decisions and are seeing the, kind of ramifications of it, like on social media and things like that, that, companies will take strides to be more strategic, to be more communicative and more transparent, because it's not, people's livelihoods shouldn't be boiled down to a rounding error, right? Like it's not about, you know it's not just like, oh, like we're trimming down our operating costs by 5%. It's like, no, like 1,900 people now
yeah, yeah.
don't have a livelihood, and so you should commit the resources and the thought behind that, to really give it the gravity that it deserves and the weight that it deserves. Yeah,
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like Microsoft stock went up, so
I know,
like
I know.
there, that's the main end goal. So they're like, job well done, everybody. Handshakes all around.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, we can hope that things will take a turn for the better. My thoughts go out to those who are trying to navigate this industry right now. There have been a ton of layoffs across all kinds of tech and video game industries, and so uh, I hope that things go well for them. They land on their feet, have a soft landing. But in other news, we've got PlayStation State of Play announced. So this is going to be taking place Wednesday, the 31st, in just 2 short days or actually tomorrow, as you're listening to this, at 2 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be 40 minutes long, featuring Stellar Blade, Rise of Ronin, and more. Um, and this was from Alex Stedman uh, at IGN.com. So the state of play will last 40 minutes. Sony said on Monday, including extended looks at Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin, both coming to PS5 this year, plus more from talented game developers from around the world. Specifically, they said 15 plus games will be covered. So, Alan, what do we think they are going to talk about? I'm curious to
Oh
know if
man,
you have
like
any thoughts of like what we might see at the state of play. Um, yeah,
it's kind of hard to tell because they had the leak, the Insomniac leak, I think it was.
yeah, for
So
Wolverine, yeah. So they probably,
yeah,
yeah. I don't know if they're
so
going
I,
to show
I
anything from
I'm
that.
I'm curious to see, like, are they just gonna lean into it and say, hey, we know that all of you saw this stuff online, and so maybe we give you a behind the scenes of how it's going right now, like almost like a little sort of kind of like how Xbox did the developer direct,
Uh huh.
and just like you already know, so like let's make lemonades out of these lemons. Do you think, or do you think they'll just kind of just not say anything about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it would be cool if Insomniac took the opportunity. I mean, there's not going to be developers on a stage or anything like that, but I mean, I could see like a prepared video or
Yeah, yeah,
statement
yeah, kind of
for
like
them to be
the
like, "Hey, like here's Insomniac Games. Like, obviously, we were really disappointed when like we kind of had that surprise ruined for us, but regardless, we appreciate the outpouring of support, and as a thank you, we wanted to give you all a better look at." Where our next title is going and where it is today, and so you know please enjoy this video, blah blah blah. And then it could be again a behind the scenes, an extended trailer for Wolverine, or something like that. I could see that
yeah,
happening.
that's how they did develop direct Xbox. Like that's just
Yeah.
how it is. Not on a stage. Like let them be comfortable. Let them be in their workspace. Let them be talking about they want to talk about. Like show them the mess. Show them how messy it is to get the game to that stage. I think that would be a really interesting twist on it,
Hmm.
and to be able to kind of again turn sort of like those lemons into lemonade of like fully behind the scenes. Here's what we're currently working on. Here's what the system like. Obviously, an explanation to the audience. Hey, we're giving you years ahead of time, but because of the whole leak. But we wanted to give you more context so you can really appreciate what we're working on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know we've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming in about a
That'll be
month.
there.
That'll be
That'll be
there.
there.
They're gonna show. I mean, even if it's the same trailer, they're gonna build up that hype, or
Yeah,
maybe it'll
yeah.
be a slightly like a slight different trailer. Like it's getting to the point of saturation. So like I think they don't want to show too much more because they don't want to
That
be
music though,
spoiling stuff.
Jeremy, just
Oh,
put a new song in it, and
yeah.
here we go.
I know. The music's amazing. Um, I, I'm definitely, I'm hoping, honestly, I'm hoping that we get something from Team Asano, actually, like, or Square Enix, like maybe another like HD 2D tease, or maybe more of a look at Visions of Mana potentially. Although with the news that we have a little bit later, that might be a bit complicated, um, but yeah, I mean, I'm always stoked to see Sony stuff. I'm a
Yeah,
Sony fan, so
I'm hoping they give us like, a solid slate for 2024 because right now it's kind of a bit barren, isn't it?
I mean, we've got Grand Blue Fantasy. I think came out today, or it's coming out very
But I mean,
soon.
that's
Dragon's
not
Dogma,
a
Final Fantasy Rebirth. We've got like I think over
okay,
the next
yeah.
few months, Rise of Ronin too. Like I think over the next few months, we've got stuff, but the latter half of the year is
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
barren. Yeah, yeah. So I'm hoping that, like to your point, like they can kind of pace that out and give us some things to look forward to for the later summer, for the fall, for winter,
Do you
for
think we'll get
leading into the
Spider-Man
holidays.
DLC for the Spider-Man 2?
I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get Spider-Man 2 DLC or New Game Plus or whatever. Like I don't know if that's gonna be a thing. I think there is a better chance that we actually see more of Wolverine than Spider-Man 2 DLC.
Okay. Okay. And do you think there's like a oh my god moment somewhere in here, or you think like it'll be like a solid like okay cool like we're hyped for 2024 now for Team Sony?
Uh I mean that's the thing is like I don't even know, like I don't even know what would be the jaw drop. I mean, Rockstar is doing their own thing with GTA 6. They're on their own timeline.
Yeah,
They got
yeah,
their
yeah.
own stuff, so they're not going to use the state of play for that. So, I mean, I would love to be pleasantly surprised, but honestly, like if the state of play just helps to firm up 2024, to your point, I think that'll be that'll be like a solid A, you know? Like if they're able to pull something out of their hat and like take control of the social media for, another few days because there's a really cool trailer that debuts or something, then A plus, right? I think I'm really interested in seeing Stellar Blade because that caused quite a bit of buzz on social media after the initial kind of teaser trailer went up, for reasons, for very professional reasons, and definitely not
It
any.
feels like a near knockoff. I don't know, dude. I don't know. That one feels like a swimming in sevens deal.
I don't. I mean, we'll see. We'll see, but I'm interested in seeing more of that. But I think
Do you,
if it firms at 2024, it'll be a win. Yeah.
do you have like a dream game that you're like, man, I really hope they announce that right now on this one?
Uh, I mean, Legend of Dragoon remake. Like, I don't know.
Wow,
Like,
that's asking a lot, dude.
oh, I know. I mean, you asked me Dream Game. I mean, or like Xenogears. But again, I think that's where like Team Asano and like the HD 2D like initiative is gonna be taking
Yeah.
more
Oh,
center stage. So
that would
like,
be dope. That would be dope.
so that's kind of where I think we'll see more of that. Again, honestly, I don't even know what to ask for right now. I have like 500 hours of games on my radar right now. So
What
like,
about a Chrono Cross remake?
you know, I'm probably gonna get pilloried for this. Like, but compared to Trigger, I just didn't enjoy Cross. Like, I liked it okay. I have it on my Switch. I'll probably go back and replay it. But like, I'm not
That's
the guy
fair.
who's
That's
at.
fair.
I'm not the guy at the front of the line asking, clamoring for a new one. I would rather get an HD 2D Chrono Trigger remake, like
Okay. It's just that
than
that was just
than
a
Chrono
nice
Cross.
like the colors and the environments in that game are just so cool. I'd love to see that get
The
like
music too. I mean,
the remake.
Chrono Cross music is
Yes, it
insane. Like,
is.
I had that theme
It
song
is.
on replay for the better part of my high school years. So yeah, I mean it's a really cool game. I'm just not rushing for a remake. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll see. Again, I'm a big fan of Sony stuff and excited to see what this has for us. I'm hoping that it gives us a better look at 2024 and beyond. And but I mean, again, I am I've got a lot of games to play. So if I got some stuff to look forward to, great. But otherwise, I already have plenty
Yeah,
of things
yeah.
to keep me busy for the next like 6 months. So if not more. Um, all right, ID at Xbox presents Indie Selects. So Xbox is launching an initiative to shine the spotlight on indie games. Every Wednesday, there'll be a new set of games shown off in a dedicated space in the Xbox store. It's a big win for indie developers because it's pretty difficult to get noticed on the console storefront. So this will also mean a lot. It means a lot that Xbox is doing the curation of these games as well, because again, they get a chance to like take an indie title and like lift it up to the front of Game Pass and be like, hey, check out this game, or maybe not even Game Pass, but just to be able to purchase it,
Yeah,
right?
it'll be on the Xbox, and I'm sure there will be like titles that'll be on Game Pass as well. But it is a big win because I think one of the things that Nintendo's struggle most with is just marketing. Like they gotta really be very careful with how they spend their money, and like most of it goes into dev and artists and all that other stuff.
Right.
And they tend to lack a bit on the marketing side. And like once you get into the Xbox store or PlayStation store or the eShop, like you're just getting inundated with stuff, man. Like it's very difficult. Like they'll say, "Oh, hey, these are the games that are on sale," but like that's it. Like Xbox doesn't really tell you, "Hey, get these." So I really like this initiative. I think it's a good move by Xbox. It's a chance again to give indies a little bit more time to shine. I think it'll be more important for indies to kind of exist now that all these AAA devs are letting go of so many people. So hopefully, a lot of people can kind of either end up making their own independent studios or landing at an independent studio.
Right.
I also hope that Sony and Nintendo kind of take notice and maybe kind of do their own thing as well. Like, there's so many indie games out there that you know there's plenty to go around to have like in their own space there on each console. Really,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think Steam definitely has its own kind of infrastructure in place because that's really a big part of the Steam marketplace, right? But it would be awesome to see Nintendo and Sony do take a similar initiative to say like, hey, here are some. I mean, Sony kind of does like in their PlayStation store. Like sometimes they'll have a category like great indie titles or whatever, but it's not like a staple. It's not like a regular monthly thing, and so I think it would be great if that was more structured and more consistent. So, all right, Rocksteady pulls "Kill the Justice League" 1 hour into launch. This is from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. Rocksteady Studios has been forced to pull Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League offline just 1 hour into its deluxe edition's early access launch due to a bug that automatically completed players' games. Though the Batman Arkham Universe live service game doesn't launch proper until February 2nd, those who paid an extra $30 for the deluxe edition were granted 3 days of early access. That means it now should be available in New Zealand, but as reported by VGC, the game is currently offline and will be for several hours. Rocksteady issued a statement addressing the issue, though they didn't indicate if the game would still be offline as of its launch in the US or other regions. They also didn't say if it would offer refunds to customers who paid the extra $30 either. Quote, we're aware that a number of players are currently experiencing an issue whereby upon logging into the game for the first time, they have full story completion, the statement said. To resolve this issue, we will be performing maintenance on the game servers, et cetera, et cetera. So,
this is bad, dude. But like, it shows how hard it is to make a game that works. It's like, yay, you did it! Like, I just turned the game on. What happened? But like, this is so bad. Like, this game just has so many bad vibes around it. Like, ah, it people can just make fun of it for like a good week or two, and hopefully, like someone or it finds an audience that people like genuinely have fun with it and get what they want out of it. But it's looking bad.
yeah, it's really tough, like the way that they've just sort of been hit by like one set of bad marketing, cycles after another. Like I think there's a clip going around with Kevin Conroy's performance as the Batman in this game, and like the narrative end for Batman in this game. A lot of people are very upset about, and it's just it's bad. It's just bad all around. So we'll see what ends up happening with this. but I am certainly, it's certainly nowhere near my radar. I hope that people who are looking forward to this have fun with it and have a good time. But again, unfortunate that Rocksteady has just sort of continued to fumble the ball with this game for the better part of the last 6 months as they sort of ramped to launch, with a delay and everything else. So we'll see we'll see if it actually finishes coming to market, and then what folks have to say about it. Oh, and they didn't send out review codes either, which is entirely their right not to do so, but it also kind of makes you suspicious to think, why wouldn't you want to get the game out there a little early to get people excited about the game? So, all right. Story number 5. Apple opens the App Store to game streaming services. So
Yes, thank you.
it's pretty exciting. I mean, this is from Andrew Webster at The Verge. Starting today, and this was a few days ago now, on the 25th, Apple is opening up its App Store to allow game streaming apps and services. This means the services like Xbox Cloud Streaming and GeForce Now, which previously were only accessible on iOS via a web browser, will be able to offer full-featured apps. Developers can now submit a single app with the capability to stream all of the games offered in their catalog, Apple wrote in a blog post. These changes apply worldwide, according to the company. In 2020, Apple appeared to have carved out a space for these cloud gaming services in the App Store, but that turned out not to be the case, as all games available through each service had to be submitted and reviewed as a standalone app. So the shift to allow one app with a large catalog of games marks a major change. As part of today's announcement, Apple said that each experience made available in an app on the App Store will be required to adhere to all App Store review guidelines, and its host app will need to maintain an age rating of the highest age rated content included in the app. So, in layman's terms, it's tricky with Apple because when you have a service that contains multitudes, you want to know that everything within that service that contains multitudes are all good and above board. And so essentially they're like, okay, this app's going to be rated 17 plus because there are going to be games on the service that are mature,
Yeah.
for example. And, I'm sure a lot of other, complicated back end things. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you on this, Alan. I'm really excited. I think, there are folks that have like an iPad, like a 10-inch iPad, and they can pair a controller with it, and that can be like their to-go machine now, with some of these streaming services. And it's good to have more options, and it's good to see these streaming services getting more footholds and avenues to get in more people's hands.
Yeah, first I want to say thank you, Europe. It's thanks to the thanks to the Europeans we're even getting this, thanks to the Digital Markets Act, which basically
That's
kind of
true.
forced
Yeah. Yeah.
Apple's hand. Like they're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They could have done this a long time ago. And always and like it was such a dumb thing of like, yeah, we're gonna do every app in the in your streaming service. Like you don't do that for every movie or whatever on Netflix. But like obviously it's a threat to Apple Arcade. But like Apple Arcade is such a different thing that it's just like, why are you worried, man? Like just relax. Be cool,
Be
Apple.
be cool, Apple. Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like, we've talked briefly about Apple Arcade and like what Apple Arcade could be, and so it's like I think I'm hoping that this streaming service like um addition will spur them forward to get Apple Arcade kind of off the ground.
I don't
Um,
know, man. They haven't like
I
we
know, I
started up Apple
know.
Arcade in what 2018, 2019, and like they haven't done anything with it. Like they got that cool game that everyone like genuinely loved. Like I think he used to work on the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, yeah. Hironobu Sakaguchi, he did a game.
Yeah, so like other than that, like what else has that service really done?
Yeah. I mean, and obviously Kojima brought Death Stranding over to the Mac and stuff also, but like it's
But it's not
I
limited to Apple Arcade though.
no, no, no. It's just trying to bring more stuff to the Mac and the
Yeah, so
Apple
if you're not
ecosystem
even
in
gonna do anything with
general.
Apple Arcade, at least let us have this, dude, as your users, as the people who buy your hardware. Come on, man. But
Yeah.
anyway, my
Yeah.
hope though is like, for the love of God, let me run this on my MacBook Air. There's nothing worse because like if you have an Apple Silicon chip in your MacBook, you can run a lot of iOS apps and iPad apps, unless the developer's like, no, you can't do that. Which is
Right,
like,
right.
incredibly frustrating and annoying because like there's no native Mac app. So it's like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I'm hoping that I can also do it because I would love to pair, one of my extra controllers to my MacBook Air and kind of like stream games on there when I don't feel like firing up my Series X or my PlayStation or my very meek gaming PC.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious to see if the Vision Pro will have any sort of calculus as well when it comes to the Apple Arcade strategy. Like, obviously it's still very niche given the price point and everything. Like, I'm not talking about this generation or maybe even the next generation, but like 2 generations from now with the Vision Pro, like, you know, do we, which is, maybe 5 years from now, right? Like 5, 6 years from now, are we looking at a version of the Vision Pro that tries to commercialize and standardize, a virtual reality gaming experience by, having the Apple Arcade be a bit more robust, using that really cool broad theater mode, being able to pair, the Sony controller or a video game controller to the Vision Pro to play games on it. Like, I just think that there are a lot of ways that Apple could like kind of sneak into or get their foot really into the gaming and entertainment industry. Um, and I hope that, I hope that those steps are taken and create, interesting and fun experiences for gamers. So
I'll put this out there again. Make that handheld, bro. Take it to the Steam Deck. That's all I'm saying. I'll
yeah,
put it out there again.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Thank us later. Thank us later, Tim Cook. Um, all right. Our last story number 6. Square Enix's Visions of Mana could be coming to the Game Pass. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. It says, as spotted by users on X, the game's website explicitly refers to Game Pass, despite the fact that the game has yet to be confirmed for a Microsoft subscription service. When searching for the game via a search engine, the preview text field refers to the game as coming soon to Xbox Series X/S and Game Pass. Announced in December and detailed in a new trailer during the Xbox Developer Direct, Visions of Mana is set for release in 2024 on pretty much all the major platforms outside of the Switch. And yeah, so pretty cool. I mean, again, this is why I was wondering if maybe they won't, Visions of Mana won't necessarily be another major focus at the state of play. Maybe there'll be a quick blurb for it. But yeah, if it's coming to Game Pass as well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I can see them like skipping on because they made a big deal about this being like the first one on Xbox during the developer direct.
right, yeah. So Sony probably wouldn't take their thunder. Then it would probably just be like, they might have a quick, like, if they do like a montage of like, hey, check out these games
Yeah,
coming to
yeah.
PlayStation soon. They might do like a 5 or 10 second clip of Visions of Mana, so people will be like, oh yeah, that's coming soon. Um, And speaking of Visions of Mana, Alan alerted me to a pretty awesome deal that was going on at GameFly that I missed out on. And now I'm bummed. It was a half off pre-order. So it would have
Yep.
been $30 for the physical edition. But obviously those got snatched up pretty quick. So I missed out on it. But um, keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled for new deals. And speaking of deals, Alan, do you have anything for us in your deals corner this week?
Absolutely, I do. So Nintendo's having their sort of like New Year sale that kind of started to the like a couple of weeks after the New Year for some reason. So there's some pretty good stuff out there. Like right now, Nino Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is $9.99.
Hmm.
You've got Metroid Dread for $30, so half off. Sid Meier's Civilization 6 for $5.99. Doom for $7.99. Spyro Reignited Trilogy for $15.99. And I'd like to highlight the Child of Light Ultimate Edition. Like, I ended up playing this on Game Pass, and it really blew me away. Like, I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would. So it's got a great art style, great gameplay, great story. Like, check that out for $5. That's like a no brainer to pick up. Also, kind of a cult hit Neon White is out there for $14. And Valkyria Chronicles 4, 749. So that's just an example. There's a lot more there for you to get to. So go check it out on the eShop. Or if you don't feel like putting in like your credit card info in there, lots of retailers. So Amazon, Best Buy, Target, Walmart all have like digital codes available for the same price as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's all that we have for this week. Until next time, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Alan.
Keep gaming, everyone.
See ya.